Right now, your brain is quietly shrinking your year. You can feel it, can't you? Summers used to stretch forever. Now a whole month vanishes in a blink. Birthdays arrive before you finished thanking people for the last one. It's not your imagination. It's not a calendar trip. It's not because you're busier than you used to be. Something genuinely strange is happening inside your head. Your brain is rewriting how long a year feels. And the older you get, the faster it rewrites. Not what time actually is, but what time feels like from the inside. Here's the better question. Why does your brain compress time as you age, and can you slow it back down? Let's start with something you've probably noticed but never named. A single summer when you were 7 felt like an entire era, full of long afternoons that seemed to have their own weather. A single summer at 37 feels like a weekend that got out of hand. Same 90 days. Same sun, wildly different experience. The first big reason is almost embarrassingly mathematical. When you're 5 years old, 1 year is 20% of your entire life. When you're 50, 1 year is 2% of your life. So proportionally, that same trip around the sun is 10 times smaller relative to everything you've ever known. This is sometimes called the proportional theory of time perception, and it goes back to a 19th century philosopher named Paul Janet. It's not the whole story, but it's a real piece of it. Your brain seems to measure time partly against the life you've already lived. And the bigger that life gets, the smaller each new year feels. But proportions alone can't explain everything, because if you really pay attention, time doesn't just shrink as you age, it shrinks unevenly. A boring Tuesday at work disappears instantly. A first kiss, a first flight, a first day in a new city, those stretch. So something else is going on, something stranger. Here's the strange part. Your brain doesn't actually have a clock. There's no single organ inside your skull ticking off seconds like a wristwatch. Instead, your sense of time is stitched together after the fact, mostly from memory. And memory has a very specific bias. It loves new things. When you experience something novel, a new place, a new face, a new sensation, your brain lays down dense, detailed memories. Researchers sometimes call this the encoding density of an experience, and regions like the hippocampus light up to file it all away. When you experience something familiar, your brain basically shrugs and reuses the old file. It saves energy. It just doesn't save much memory. So later, when you look back, time feels long where the memories are thick, and short where the memories are thin. Think about that for a second. A week of vacation in a place you've never been can feel longer in memory than the entire month before it, because your brain encoded that week in high definition and the month in low. Now zoom out to your whole life. When you were a kid, almost everything was new. Your first thunderstorm, your first bike, your first heartbreak, your first taste of something weird and green, your parents called good for you. Your brain was constantly in high-definition recording mode. Childhood feels enormous in memory because it literally takes up more storage. Adulthood, by contrast, can settle into a loop. Same commute, same coffee, same desk, same screen. Your brain stops bothering to take detailed notes. And a year that wasn't really recorded feels, in retrospect, like it barely happened. This sounds fake, but psychologists have measured something close to it. People consistently misjudge how long ago a familiar event happened, and they almost always think it was more recent than it really was. It's so common it has a nickname, forward telescoping. Your brain pulls the past toward you like a collapsing telescope. That concert you swear was 3 years ago? Probably 7. That friend you just caught up with? Try last spring. But it gets weirder, because the speed of time isn't only about memory. It might also be about your body. Your nervous system runs on rhythms. Your heart rate, your breathing, your brain waves, even the tiny electrical signals dancing across your neurons. When you're young, those signals fire fast and clean. As you age, they slow down a little, and the pathways they travel get longer and noisier. One theory, sometimes associated with researcher Adrian Bajan, suggests that older brains process fewer mental frames per second, like a camera that quietly drops its frame rate over the years. If your young brain captures more snapshots of each moment feels richer and longer. If your older brain captures fewer, the same moment slips by faster. It's not proven, it's still debated. But it's a beautiful idea. That time might feel quicker because biologically, you're literally seeing fewer pictures of it. There's another layer too, tied to attention. The more your mind wanders on autopilot, the less of the present it actually catches. And autopilot is exactly what experience builds. The cost of being skilled at your own life is that you stop noticing most of it. Your brain is, above all else, a prediction machine. Once it can guess what comes next, it stops paying full attention to what's actually happening. Which means the better you know your life, the more of it slips past unrecorded. Familiarity, it turns out, is a kind of invisible thief. Pause for a second and try something. Right now, look around the room you're in. Notice 3 things you've genuinely never noticed before. A shadow, a scratch, a color you'd stop seeing. Feel that little tug of attention? That tiny huh? That is your brain switching, for a moment, back into high-definition recording mode, and that, more than anything, is what makes time feel slow. Quick pause. I'm genuinely curious. When in your life did time feel the slowest? A summer? A school year? A trip? A hard week that somehow lasted forever? Drop it in the comments. I read them, and the patterns people share are fascinating. Then come back, because the next part is where it gets a little philosophical. Because here's the twist, your brain doesn't want you to notice. The years aren't actually getting shorter. You are getting more efficient at ignoring them. Every habit you build, every shortcut your brain learns, every "I've seen this before" reflex. It saves energy and steals memory. Adulthood rewards routine, and routine is exactly what your brain refuses to record. So in a strange way, the feeling of time speeding up is a side effect of getting good at life. You stopped being a beginner. And beginners experience time in slow motion. That's why the first month of a new job feels like a year, and the 5th year feels like a month. That's why the first week with a newborn feels eternal, and the next decade feels like a montage. That's why moving to a new city resets the clock in a way nothing else quite can. Novelty is the closest thing your brain has to a time-stretching machine. You can almost feel this in real time during travel. The first 3 days in a new place feel like a week, because every street corner is forcing your brain to write fresh notes. By day 10, the same city starts to blur. Your brain has already drawn the map, and now it's coasting. The same thing happens more slowly to your years. And here's the part that genuinely changes how you walk around in the world. You don't have to move countries or quit your job to slow time down. Your brain can't tell the difference between a brand new city and a brand new route home. It just wants a reason to pay attention. A different walk, a different coffee shop, a conversation with someone you'd usually nod past, a book on something you know nothing about, a skill that makes you a beginner again, even for an hour, a meal you've never tried, eaten somewhere you've never sat. Each of those is a tiny instruction to your brain. This is worth recording. And recorded time, remembered time, is the only time that feels real. There's a quiet beauty in this if you let it land. The years feel faster not because life is running out, but because your brain has gotten so good at predicting it. You can nudge it back, not by adding more hours to your day, but by adding more attention to your hours. By being, on purpose, a beginner again. So the next time you catch yourself saying, "I can't believe it's already June," remember what's actually happening. Your brain isn't lying to you. It's just told you the same story so many times it stopped writing it down. And the moment you do something new, even something small, you hand your brain a fresh page and ask it to start recording again. Time doesn't slow down, you do? And that's strangely good news, because it means the dial isn't outside of you, ticking faster every year. It's inside you, waiting to be turned. If this rewired the way you think about your own years, hit that like button and subscribe to Bodyquirk so the next one finds you. And tell me in the comments, what's one tiny new thing you're going to try this week to give your brain a reason to record? The next video on this channel is about another quiet trick your mind plays on you every single day. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. I'll meet you there.